Vi försöker prata på engelska. Det verkar vara det mest gemensamma språket som vi har här. Och jag tänkte att vi skulle inleda. Det här är Jessie Kleemann som är grönländsk författare och boende i Köpenhamn. Och jag tänker prata lite mer om henne senare. Och här är Pivinnguaq Mørch som bor i Nuuk och också är bland annat arkeolog men också författare på grönländska. And now I'm going to switch to English then. I think we are going to start with Jessie Kleemann reading something from this book, Arkhticós Dolorôs, which came in 2021, I think. And then I'm going to say something about her and ask her something about the poems too, and writing a little bit. And then we're going to let Pivinnguaq read some poetry, and then I'm going to say something about him, and then we're going to let the talk and move freely towards the Greenlandic language and to everything, the landscape and everything that matters. So please, Jessie.
Hi, thank you.
You can say something about it too.
Thank you for the invitation. Arkhticós Dolorôs atqarami. It's called Arkhticós Dolorôs because I didn't want to just be like taking the Arctic back. No, so I wanted to experiment a bit with languages as well. So I think I'm going to read the first one since we both come from Upernavik. I was born in Upernavik in 1959, and Pivinnguaq was born
1993.
Yes. 93.
Sorry, I'm a little bit jet lagged.
So I have a passage here in the book on page 38 in only Greenlandic. I will start with that. It's from my homeland. Silami gungip nunadani. Its breaking point. Mikrofoni tiullugu inuit agonnanni nipittamalat. Allat kiinanni isanni nayuaqarpunga. Illit isinni iikkat ungataanni qaqqat mallillu qaarfianni nipinutaaq ini alla isit bigat. Kinnat faces up, waving kids. Qalipaatit nutat, siunissami kammalat. Unataallaq ataasaq, this poem and the music. Nami allamik oqaasissat. Min jord i Arktis issittumi nunap issua dassa uanga issora. Soil on Arctic lands. It is, as you know, my body of soil. Så dogndyret kalder dogndyret Arktis. Arkhticós, hvor dolor og dolorôs Svampens langsomme egenskaber er det forvildede, eksotiske, druknede. Nibisab immur. Stenbiderens mælk. Tidens utvivlsomme graven i forrådende jord og langsomt voksende rødder oven på den sovende skov. Arkhticós drømmer, at livet er mikroskopisk forbundet med solens hurtige skift til langsomme sorte og blå vinternætter, der rækker langt ind i foråret. Og så sommeren i evigt flux, hvor blåklokken viser sig en dag eller to gennem en revne på klippen. Jeg ser dig, blåklokke, i luftens sekundklare stop. Rød og blå på qaqortut, et sted midt mellem Asiat og Manumjut i 70'erne. Da jeg var gammel på randen af døden, det smukke unnulleranget nillortilarsimalluni. Jeg traver gennem blødt mos oven på vand, der siver op og ned, op og ned. Det hviler så stille. Waiting, diving, rising. Venter på den første nattekulde i juli. Qaqunnisaq unnuami imarlu qaffalorpatinusutu seqinner musaalluni tarrilersumi. Så falder natten endelig, falder lyset væk i horisonten. It's gone, and your side gets blue over det flade, der hælder med solens sidste buer og sitrende vælven. Rækker op som søjler. Hvorfor hedder det brændingen på dansk? It's soil, moist, damp, sleeping underneath my feet. Arkhticós Dolorôs.
Yeah, as I said, yeah. As I said, you published this book in Denmark, and you're mixing the languages, like in Greenlandic, and it's a bit Danish mostly, and then also English in a kind of meandering.
And a little bit of French, German.
German, French too.
Or something nonsense.
Yeah, yeah. And but it was already in 1997 that you made your debut in the form of a book that was called Talat Dikte Poems. It's also multilingual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I can't speak Greenlandic at all, so I'm sorry for that. But you're also, or mostly, known as an artist or a graphic artist and a performance artist, most of all. And you also have said that you think that the poems and the performance are the same thing in a way, also.
I like to break
different
the rules.
Parts of the same root. And then you have had the whole world as a working place in a way, also making all these performances and things like that. Could you say something about what this, as you have said something, but something more about what this title stands for in this book?
Well, really, I really like the word Arkhticós in a book of Barry Lopez, Arctic Dreams. And I think I got that book back in start 1990s. It was kind of a learning curve for me about where I come from, the land, and the whole the area where it consists of different kind of areas like the Siberian and the Alaskan, Canadian, the Greenlandic. And of course, if you look at the whole Arctic, is also
Arctic Circle,
Arctic Circle,
the
Sapmi area, and Chukotka, the Bering Strait, and all the people that we are kind of trying to find our place, because right now it's just all the politics about who owns the Arctic, and I wanted to make a testament about how we as people are united in our deep grieving. It's the pain, you know. We have the deep grieving about the land. And,
do you feel like multilingual in your body or in your poetry when you write, or do you like come from one language and go over to the other and to the third, or what kind of like relation do you have to the?
Because I was brought up with the Danish language, but my first language is Galatlisut, and then I had to learn very well the Danish language, because everybody knows that we were colonized, and in my childhood, it was if you didn't get to know the Danish language well, then you would. How would you become? So, in order to be myself, I had to conquer the Danish language well and still study and write in my own native language. And when I moved to Denmark, I was always told, "Oh, but you're Greenlandic." You know, it's always like a problem. So I wanted to, well, it's my body, it's my thinking and how I write, where I come from. It's mine, and I want to show it to you. I want to share it, and I want to.
You have,
use
have some lines in this poem that you read now that is really putting the finger on some of these main issues, like this. Varför heter det bränningar på danska? Alltså varför heter det bränningar på danska? Which shows this kind of relation to the Danish language. And also this, så sommaren evigt flux, för blåklockan visar sig en dag eller två genom en raune på klippen, alltså landskapet. Så sommaren är evigt flux, när blåklockan visar sig en dag eller två genom en spricka i klippan. Alltså de här korta, the landscape and the short summer and all that. And also this Moder Arktis lidelse. Moder Arktis lidelse är det nya nedsmältningens istid. It's also about the exploitation and the environment. And also vanity sport also shows this like moving between the different languages.
The oceans,
so,
but
the
also the tectonic plates that moves our cultures and our migration. We are always moving around, and we see that in Europe as well. And as some Greenlandic people moved to Denmark as well, so we are colonizing Denmark. I mean,
right
basically,
now,
you know. So I wanted.
And you have a lot of symbols too, also like this Mother of the Sea that you use. That in a way you have like some kind of negative version of it, that it's become a symbol of pollution and catastrophic. The environmental catastrophe and the
climate change.
Climate change and things like that. So now we're going over to you, Pivinnguaq, and I think you're going to read first a poem, and then I'm going to read the Danish version, and then you read, I think, 2 poems in Greenlandic and in English too.
Yep.
Or
Yeah, I can try.
Yeah, you can try.
Yeah. The first poem, it's the one that I'm going to read to you is one of the first poems that I wrote when I was a teenager, when I was like 18 years old. And to point the fact that before I became an author, she was the one who held a workshop for writing. And so it's an honor to be with her in this kind of arrangement, which is kind of like a funny idea, because I never thought about it's going to happen like that. It was, how many years was it?
Yeah,
it was
I think
in 2013.
13.
Yeah.
So
11 years ago.
Yeah, 11 years ago.
You were like 20 years?
Yeah, I was 18
okay.
years old when I met her when she was doing the workshop for us. And it was a long time ago. But I'm going to read you a poem. It was during that time that I wrote it down, after she held the workshop with us in Pivinnguaq. Qoqa. Qunoriatsikka naapittuarikka periusera qunuingivillugu. Unemmisakka kiortarikka pisinnaasar tamakkivillugu. Nukittoqigama sapingaqarnanga unissananga aniguisaqama. Inoqatikka taqqisarikka ataasiugatta tamakkivilluta immikkoortusakattarnagit soqutigittaatsut paasitillugit killormoortu akuerinnagit hoqaluutiinnarnagit unitsillugit inuuninni pilluartaqaanga ataqatigiinnugut peqqutigalugit ilunniit tunniussakka ingerlatimmassuk pakatsinnaga ataqqigamisuk siunertara quyasarpunga taamaammata tusaamasanngorputit inooriaasernut tusartuarmassuk pinerrarinnerit inussiarnernerit unuppassuarnut Tarniginnerit tupigimmassuk tunisorusuttarnera nuannarimassuk qanilaartuarput pisoorsuullutik. Toqqissismappu ernimassanatik eqqissismappu aaqqutigalutit ataqatigilluarput peqqutigalutit suleqatigittuarput asanneqalutik ikioqatigilissaput ataasiullutik. Qoyamassulissappu angallaraangassi susaarsimanasi oqalittuissaqarlusi nukittoqalusi kikkaluarlusi hamerlaqisunik aggiussisarlusi mikingeqisunik nassataqarlusi pilluaqalusi inooqatigippusi inooqatigiinner pingaarnersaammat ataqatigiinner pisariaqarmat sanilit uattu isigisaruk immikkoortinnugu aamma nukittoqimmat tamaavitta assiingissutsigut kusagisarpakka pikkoriffigut.
I'm thinking of the time, but maybe I try to read this in Danish also, so we can move over. Okay. Qaqortut is a name of a known Greenlandic hero from a story.
Yeah.
A good hero that makes everyone feel secure and together and things like that. Gang på gang støder jeg på det som forfærder mig uden at ængstes over min fremgangsmåde. Maybe you should read it, I think, because you're much better in Danish than I am. Maybe?
I can do that. I can do that. But
because I'm so lousy.
Sure,
I lived there for 6 years, but never got to
I didn't translate it, so it's
no.
But it's
you can try. It
yeah,
sounds better, at least.
Qaqortut. Gang på gang støder jeg på det, som forfærder mig, uden at ængstes over min fremgangsmåde. Kæmper jeg mod mine udfordringer med alt, hvad jeg har i mig, for jeg er stærk og kan klare alt, og kommer ufortøvet igennem. Jeg har for vane at respektere mine medmennesker, for alle er vi en. Afstå fra at puffe til dem, der er unikke. Få de hensynsløse til at forstå, og lad være med at acceptere de trodsige med ord alene, men stop dem. Ofte finder jeg lykke i, at vi står sammen. Hvad jeg af hjertet giver, driver mig og svigter mig ikke, og min endemål respekteres, og jeg værdsætter dem for det. Du prises for din levemåde. Bestandig hører de om din dygtighed som storfanger. Din venlighed til alle mennesker. De undres over din sjæls formåen og glædes over din gavmildhed. Sagtmodige og dog velstående. De er trygge og ubekymrede. De lever i fred på grund af dig. Holder godt sammen ved din tilskyndelse. Bestandigt arbejder de sammen i stor kærlighed og hjælper hinanden i forening. Taknemmelighed udtrykkes, når I vender tilbage fra fangst, medbringende dyr og beretninger. Så få og dog så stærke. Med en rigdom af bytte, vældige fangstdyr, der bringes i land. I lever lykkeligt sammen. For det vigtigste er at være sammen som mennesker. Sammenhold er ledordet. Betragt din næste som dig selv. Betragt din næste som mig selv. Afstå fra at gøre forskel, for han er også stærk. Alle vores forskelle og talenter påskynder jeg. Og så står der her, Qaqortut er navnet på en populær grønlandsk folkehelt fra en fortælling. Qaqortut Bayuk.
Thank you. Yeah, it's two. I think it's two lines that really catch me. in this poem. It's när ni vänder tillbaka från fångst, medbringar dyr och berättningar. Alltså när ni vänder tillbaka från fiskafänget så tar ni med djur och berättelser. Och för det viktigaste är att vara samman som människa. Alltså det viktigaste är att vara tillsammans som människor. Det är på något sätt skriver runt. It writes the like circle around the poem, I think. And then you're going to read two shorter poems then in Greenlandic and in English too.
I do have the paper here, but I can read the Greenlandic version here. It's kind of similar, to be honest, because everywhere I go, I live in Nuuk, which is the capital of Greenland right now. From a small town, as she said, in Upernavik. I think there's only like 1,100 people there now, and it's quite more traditional in comparison to the huge capital, who almost 20,000 people there, right?
Yeah. So how many is there in Upernavik?
1,100, somewhere around
something.
that. Yeah, it's decreasing now, but the villagers around are also moving to Upernavik, so it's kind of keeping the number stable. But the villagers in habitation is lowering in numbers as well. This is I started to reminiscence about when I started to write these poems down, because as I said, I live in Nuuk, and the way I speak in Greenlandic is a different dialect, you might say, in comparison to my fellow Greenlanders in Nuuk. So I'm a teacher now. Most of my students every day, they start a new semester. Or the new students usually, they had a tough time to even understand me. So to be part of the whole community,
such a difference between them.
Yeah. So everywhere I go, there's a difference. There's like I always felt like I'm a black sheep among them. Like when I was living in Upernavik, I love writing, but I kind of kept it a secret. Because it's unorthodox, you might say, in a way, because it's so traditional. And I remember there were people who considered that it's not manly enough because you're not a hunter or you're not a fisherman, you know. I do remember those. And when I'm living in Nuuk, there's a similar reactions, because it's not every day you meet someone who writes in poems, you know. So I become a bit self-conscious sometimes about it. But the messages are kind of similar for the poems that I'm going to read.
And it's like, I think it's like 57,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it lives in the whole of Greenland, and it's quite big. I mean, Greenland is like 5 times bigger than Sweden, I think. And it's like 80% ice or something like that.
81%.
90,
still. All right. Inugetta assiginnata. Akisussa fikannatto uannittuarmats uninnarsinnaangilanga allani inuqarmats. Tunniutiinnerner pingausungisara avatingiisun nukkassaataavoq pimooruttitsivoq inuunera iluatinnarmats. Alloriarnaa taasiikkaarlugit ullutulleriyaakamik ullaakkuiternitit nuannaarutigikit unnuillu tamaasa qasuerserlutit. Imminu upperingaarama salliuppaoqaluttuassara imminut tatigisarama angusaqartarpunga tulluusimaarlunga. Alla taamaasiorsinnaangippat uangulu nukissaraffigalugu iliusaqarfigilara. Alla sapappagu uangulu saqqummiussinnaалlugu periarfissaraara. And I'll try the English version. I have the paper here. Let me see. The translation goes, "We are human but different. Because a great responsibility always resides in me, I can't just stop because there are other people. My own willingness to give up gives me strength to my surroundings, a stimulus to continue because my life is valuable. To take step by step as day follows day, enjoy each new day and make sure you get rest every night. So confident am I that my narration ranks first, and because I believe in myself, I prevail with pride. If others fall short and I can let me hold out and intervene, if others can't, and I can produce it, it is my privilege to show it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think we'll stop there so that we could reach to talk a bit, have some kind of conversation. Thank you very much. Have an applause. I mean, you have some kind of combination when you also read. You have the scenic thing that you started up like with the slam poetry and things like that, and then you have this biographic and also moving between poetry, folk tradition, myth, and the story. And you published poems, novels, and children books also. Between. So and now you live, as you said, in Nuuk. And Jessie lives in Copenhagen, and you have also, as we said when we sat upstairs and talked, also worked a bit with archaeological work, and then you have this writing beside. You can say something about what you're doing.
Writing is more like a hobby of mine. As I said, I kind of kept it a secret, but my family knew. Back in the day when I was a kid, and but my friends are a bit, they don't know mostly.
No, because kind of shame.
They haven't seen that you're in a book of your own.
But as a child, I mean, if you are a bit different, you get bullied pretty much, and I didn't want to be in that area, so I kind of kept that secret. Even in my family households, you know, sometimes they would tease me because I write. The same for my father, because he's a poet himself.
Okay, and so
Yeah, I know. But he only reads his poems to us, but not to everybody. Even though we wrote a book together a few years ago, he's very behind the closed doors, you know.
Okay.
He's still like that. But I think we have the same, since we have almost the same upbringing, I do get the feeling that he's very self-conscious about it, because it's very traditional where we are from. But it's a bit more harsher for his experiences.
But then you also work with social studies, something like that. Yeah,
I'm a teacher now.
A teacher.
Home.
Yeah.
It's a whole different environment, because I teach in Greenland Business School, and my master's degree in cultural and social history. So it's a bit. I'm trying out every flavor in the livelihood of mine. So I do mainly teach social studies and also Greenlandic language, because my inspector back in the day, 4 years ago, he approached me. He knew that I'm a writer, and he was like, "You should take Greenlandic class. You should take the whole Greenland courses for the teachers, because you are a writer." And it was only 4 days prior the start of the new day.
So then you started up. Like
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now I think you talk a bit like about the Greenlandic language and this like writing versus the oral tradition. I've heard that in the beginning it's been like you have this kind of poetry, oral poetry, and things like it's about the mood, the hunting, the charms, the derision, the bullying, and also this kind of the charms are almost in a way like concrete poetry, and you have this mythical thing, the sea goddess. Noljajuk, and things like that. Could you say anything about this kind of how it impacts you in when you write, or how you like relate to it? This kind of very, very old oral tradition.
Yeah, maybe also it's because I'm getting old. I'm going back to explore what it means to let the mythology speak, you know, not only in our dreams, but also within the way we speak to each other. And I felt that there was something that I had to let it manifest in the writing. I was like, what? Okay, yeah, well, then if I try to read it and impersonate what does it really mean is it just some crazy writing, or is it something really of its own? And I was, I think sometimes when you experience different kind of pain and grief, you try to fathom that it has its own language. And if you try to get yourself into the writing, you open a door or an unknown place. And that's how I let. Well, I mean, I have been doing a lot of performances with a sea goddess, Sessuma Amna, Nuliayuk, Imap Ukua, Sedna. She has a lot of names because we come from different places. And in Canada, they call her Canadian Arctic. They call her Sedna. So I sometimes I believe that she could be everywhere. I mean, she somehow in the mythology, in the story, in the original story, in the Greenlandic one that we know of, she built a house on the bottom of the sea. She had this huge dog on top of her house, and then everything happened. And when people didn't manage to behave well, and when they were doing bad things to each other, she would hold back all the animals, and the human beings would suffer from famine. You know, they could not get their seals and whales and fishes, and they would starve to death. So I've been thinking that when I've been doing the performances and trying to let her speak through my body, I needed the language to speak for itself. So I started kind of write, but I didn't mean to do it. But
it happened.
It wanted to come out.
Yeah.
So
what did you say then, Pivinnguaq, about
for my part, it's back in more than 10 years ago. As I said, I was a teenager, and it's been 9 years since this book Arpaatit was published. So it has been a long time. But back when I started to reminisce about what I was going through back in the day, I do remember that, as I said, it's unorthodox to everybody, right? And even the way I speak in Upandu usage, you would be seen down in comparison to from where I'm living in now, in Nuuk right now. They would say you should speak proper Greenlandic.
Okay.
I mean, I experienced that 2 weeks ago as well, even though I'm a writer, even though they knew that. But even for my fellow Upanumutes from the small town in northern Greenland, they kind of make fun of my writing as well for the title Arpaatit, the right running shoes. 2 weeks ago, he one of them was like, are you wearing your white running shoes? Like comments like that, because they try
mocking
to
you. Like
yeah. So those two parts I'm kind of always struggling to, and I want to use my voice in terms of using like qaqortut, the character, because everybody knows the character well, and to personalize it in a way that I can also send a message through qaqortut, because it is his message. Like everybody should be respect.
I was also thinking about that kind of, like the side of poetry, or that you could impact reality. I mean that's much stronger in this kind of in the traditional way to looking at poetry or literature. That when you say something, you're also in a part able to impact reality. Can you say something about that? Because I think it's a difference between like in Sweden or something like that, when you write poetry or literature, you just write literature, you just write poetry, but you don't have this side of literature or poetry that you think that you're really in a way, or you could like impact reality through literature or through poetry?
I think we have had a long history of storytellers and oral poetry, and not written poetry. So I think at some point, with the resistance of the political movements and the currents and how our society was moving around and changing our behaviors and our culture and the way we utilize the knowledge that we used to have. Back in the 70s, there's a lot of other writers and other poets coming, and they were having this kind of a resistance with it, bringing some kind of a resistance and changing and speaking of reality. So right now, it's so much about independence, and it's about how we take our land back and how we become ourselves again, how we as Inuit stand together, and I think. But the mythology speaks for itself. So if we have to understand what's going on right now in the very same spot, we have to kind of remember which voices we let to speak. So, I mean, I live in Denmark, so I know that my writing has also been a lot of gaining a lot of contraction with the Danish resistant, and I started saying to everybody, "But I'm a Greenlandic body, I am." Well, it may be that I was colonized, that we've been mixed, and we've been our culture has been kind of changed. But I come here with my body. It's like, that you cannot change. So that's, there's all the resistance that comes with the poetry has another impact of, to strengthen. To strengthen and validate our presence in the world. So that's why I mix also the languages, because I refuse to only write in Danish. I could have given a whole new another thing just writing in Danish, but it's.
There's also this kind of movement between them in multilinguality.
What kind of ambition
and all
is that for me? It's not my ambition. I wanted to let the poetry have its own space.
Yeah, and then it's the American soldiers, and also Canada and everything, and then you have this, the colonial thing and all this also. Christianity, also this conflict between, I read about this Virgin Mary showing up in a Pernavik 1880 or something like that, throwing up this talk about heretics and.
So that's about the mocking, right? So because I've been doing the performance work myself and also using my own body as well. So people would say, "Now, are you going to go naked now?" And no, why do you think so? It's art. Oh, what's art? So we have to let our artistic practice also let it be known as it is, and not just. It's not a form of mockery. It's like we have to let the poetry. Remain, so we can be a little bit more confident and safe.
It's moving on.
And
but the publishing houses are situated in Denmark. If you want to publish something, or there are some publishing houses also in Greenland.
Oh yes,
but not so much. Some papers, but not so much literary critics and things like that. No,
not really. No,
not really. So it's a kind of interdependency with Denmark in a way, like
Still, at some point.
And to even state the fact that Greenland Kalaallisut language became an official language in 2009. So it was only 15 years ago.
And now it's like formally kind of autonomous, but it's like also a part of Denmark at the same time in a way, or it's becoming.
It's becoming
becoming
what we
autonomous
call the Danish realm, rigsfællesskab.
Commonwealth. Commonwealth is the name. And even to state the fact as well that our oral legends and myths, they are written down 150 years ago. So it wasn't that long ago.
No.
Like our ancestors came to
young,
800 years ago. But the oral histories has been going on, but the written ones are the ones that we usually read. But they had been edited before they were published more than 100 years ago. So we never know the exact oral
Some
stories.
things got lost.
Also including from the translations along the way. When you read them together next to each other, they can be quite different. The same for our written works as well. For example, the poem that I read in English, it's not entirely 100% same.
But work is going on with this kind of, memory, because that's also the thing you think about when you read about Greenland. It's also all these cultures trying to like embark on this big island and then like going back into forgetfulness and things like that. It's not only the Vikings, it's a lot of culture that tried to like colonize or try to also several thousand years ago, and then it's like there is some kind of resemblances in the soil and things like that. But could you say something about the landscape also? How you relate to that? The whole like
landscape.
The landscape of the whole like body of.
Okay, for
Greenland.
this part, for Arpaatit, it doesn't concern much about landscape, but for the children book, it does. Because when I was doing some field works in southern Greenland, also in northern Greenland within the same summer, I was doing almost 2 months long field works in archaeology, to be exact. We were doing some excavation in southern Greenland concerning about the Herrnhuternes village,
religious group.
And then including we went to the bottom of the Vikings, and then I went to northern Greenland a month after to do some surveys. And then what I realized when we were doing the fieldworks, I realized that the climate change has affected the landscape so much. For example, on the excavation site that we went there 2 years prior, my colleagues were there, and they did the whole paperwork that we should be doing some excavation. And then when we went there, we saw the landscape had eroded away already. It's already in the sea. So it has become a long wall. And you can see even the artifacts protruding from the wall. And you kind of we were speechless. And then I went to northern Greenland, and we've been doing the survey a year prior as well, and you can see already that there's so much changes. Like even 4,000-year-old tent rings are falling down to the sea as well, eroding away. And there were many landslides we saw. There haven't been there was a new landslide that kind of closed the whole village.
You really see the global warming and the whole.
So the permafrost land has thawing away, and then it kind of creates this destruction. To be honest, and it's something that I usually think about when I'm writing down right now in the last few years. But it's not entirely consistent on the first book that I wrote.
No.
But if you live nearby, just for
you can see it.
You can see it. Yeah.
I think because we could talk all evening, but now it's like 5 minutes left or something like that. I think at last we should talk a bit about also I think what's happening now with your writing, both of you, and also like this kind of tension about being individual and then being a representative for like Greenland if there is a tension between those two, like nodes or something like that. If you feel some kind of pressure to be representative for a nation or for something like that, I don't know. I think it's
hard
quite
to
interesting.
tell.
I mean, it's like
how to
if
be
you feel
representative,
it's a conflict, an area of conflict, or not, or in which way.
It's difficult to say something about it when you're in it, because what you do is what you do. And then
you do what you do.
Yeah, and then the language itself and the thing that you write about, that's what it's concerned mostly, I think, to who you are as an artist. So if you're a representative, I don't know.
I feel it just
but we are dealing with a lot of huge things that is happening to our country. Yes, but we're also trying to create something for our not only for our contemporary, but also for the ones who come after us, and to preserve the language and to develop new ways of speaking and utilizing the languages in different various forms. Like you told me there was a new word coming for the AI in Greenlandic, and I didn't even know that. So it's things are happening like in a fast pace.
Yeah.
So as an artist, I think I have to, if I'm lucky enough to keep doing what I do and try to let it be.
How do you think about that?
Well, the opinions of the others, it's something that I cannot control, but naturally it it kind of puts you as a representative to a whole country or for a fellow Upanavimut, or it depends on the listener or whatever. And but mostly I write something. Well, in the last few months, I have been writing about historical events, about fatherhood, about nightmares as well. So it's the combination of three that I'm writing down in poetry form. So I'm hoping to finish the script before my birthday in April, but who knows?
So I think maybe
that's we were talking about it.
Yeah,
what it's called. I think it's so new. So it's so new that we already forgot it. We have to look it up. But it consists of Greenlandic words. So so there's a word for it.
Yeah, it became official few months ago. But it's
you said
we don't use it every day.
You said they have this kind of language board in Greenland, as in Iceland too, that they are like translating it
that's
until
right.
today.
Like we have Isiginnaut for TV. Something like that. You know? So it's there. And the computer, qaqasasya, the thing that looks like a brain or works like a brain.
This is really also in this way a vast area, so we could go on talking the whole night. But thank you, Jessie Kleemann and Pivinnguaq Mørch, for this nice talk.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Ida.
Yeah, ayong nga ka.
Yeah.
Buena kayo.
Wait,